I'm Natasha. Welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to do a brief overview of what has happened lately in my home garden in Hamilton, Ontario, which I'm in the process of converting to be more native plants cutting garden. And I am taking out a lot of the traditional cutting flowers and keeping some. And so I have made a lot of progress, planted a lot of plants. And so I wanted to do this video before the forecasted rain hits because that will probably knock down all the peonies. And right now, even though I'll focus on the native plants in the garden, it's really nice to have the peonies and other traditional cut flowers as the backdrop to the video because the native plants are all still small, won't probably bloom till next year. Some are blooming now, but with very small flowers. And with native plants, it's always a long game. Like a few years from now, this garden will be thriving with large native plants, blooming a lot, spreading. But for now, I'm just going to zoom in on the small plants, tell you about what I'm doing, what they look like when they're small, how they'll behave, and then in the future, you'll see it all happen. So let's go take a look. So a lot has changed in this garden since I showed you last. I had an exciting thing happen 2 days ago where I saw hundreds of baby spiders kind of nested together. And then the very next day, they were gone from where I'd seen them. And I saw hundreds of webs show up in the yard. So I wasn't able to film those webs because with my phone camera, which I use for these videos, it just wasn't possible. But it's perfect, right in time for mosquito season starting. I am so happy to have all those spiders eating bugs that I don't want in this garden. So I will go through and show you. This is meadow rue. And it is actually probably going to bloom this year, even though this is a new plant. So I'm pretty happy about that. I have my dogwood coming along over here. This is nightshade. I don't remember which nightshade this is, but it gets dark berries, and I have a whole bunch of it. That's another little one coming up. That's native. I'm just going to show you actually on the nightshade theme where it is very much thriving over in this corner. Some non-native blackberry blossoms, very pretty. So over here on my brush pile, that is all that kind of nightshade coming up all in there, which I'm really happy about. And then just to show you, oh, there's one of the little spiders. I wish you could see it. Hello, little guy. You're just a little dot. No, it won't zoom in. So nightshade, this over here is called Enchanter's Nightshade, which I actually will use as a cut flower. That other nightshade just showed up. I didn't plant it, and I'm just letting it grow. But this plant in here, which colonizes really easily, that's Enchanter's Nightshade, and it gets a spire of white flowers, delicate white flowers. So I have a whole bunch. There's a little one kind of filling out this area. I removed a peony from here so that that can spread into this area because I really want more areas of native plants spreading and forming nice single type areas. So like this whole area could be pretty much Enchanter's Nightshade with a bit of the Rudbeckia triloba, and then of course the goldenrod. This, I believe this is Canada goldenrod, which is the very aggressive one. So I have a little Ito peony in there, which is a very special yellow peony, but it's being swallowed a little bit by these giant guys, but that's okay. I'll figure out what to do with that. Speaking of the peonies, I have removed 9 or 10 bushes. You can't even tell. So you can see how I had a peony problem because this is still so full of peonies, but I've removed that many. What I have replaced some of the peonies with, I have a little elderberry, and it's really cute because it's just a baby, but it already has these buds, so it is going to bloom this year and hopefully take off. It'll get quite large, like the size of this peony, so I'll probably remove this peony and let that have some space. Here is the fleabane that I was talking about in the last tour of this space, and it's kind of dotted everywhere. Everywhere you see that nice whitish pink texture, that's all the fleabane. Over here, it's all come into bloom. So yes, what I've replaced some of the peonies with, this is a native juniper, Virginiana I think this one is, and then otherwise I have some common milkweed coming up here, and it's also in with these peonies. So I should see, this is a very dense peony area, so I should remove some of these peonies. This could be a milkweed area, among other things. Yeah, I'll show you some of the other shrubs that I put in instead of peonies. This is a viburnum. I can't remember which one. Actually, it might say on it. Let me check. See, I kept the tags on. Viburnum dentatum. So that'll grow and be much taller than it is now and fill out this area that was only peonies before. Just briefly show you my ranunculus down there is budding, and dahlias in crates are doing well, some farther along than others. So down here, well, actually, before I show you that, this is the snowberry thicket that I showed in my previous tour, and it is now much larger. It is definitely really coming along. And I just wanted to jump in here to show you this eastern tiger swallowtail that landed on it the other day. It goes all the way back there and all the way down here to the point where it did overtake this little Coco Loco rose that I talked about wanting to keep in here. It is not budding, so it's not going to be happy here, and I will probably have to move it. And then these are asters in front of it, so it's got no chance in there. But I did notice a grape, wild grape coming up in this area, which is just so great. I've really wanted one for a long time, and this one just appeared, which is the joy of native plant gardening. There's more milkweed. So that will be a large vine, and I will have to decide what to do with it because this area doesn't really have space for it with the snowberry thicket, the non-native forsythia, which is just the screen bush right now. I'm wondering about letting the grape grow onto the forsythia. I will make that decision when the time comes, but that is what is tempting me to do. There's not a lot native back in this area. I have planted a bit of echinacea and penstemon. That's that little kind of burgundy leafed guy down there, but nothing to see at this point. That's all non-native, and woolly violets covering the ground, as I talked of my green mulch ground cover. Oh, but in this area I do have something exciting, again, that I did not plant. This is Virginia creeper, and it's all in there, and it is vining. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but it's vining up this way, just kind of in the middle there, which is great because that pachysandra and English ivy are both invasive, and I've been slowly tearing it out, but having the Virginia creeper, which is the 5-leaved guy in here, take over this area is perfect because it actually acts as a ground cover and vine. So it will spread as a ground cover in this area. So that takes care of some of the pachysandra if I pull it out and let the Virginia creeper replace it. And then it will vine up, and I will hopefully let it replace the English ivy that is on my studio. So good things to come there. And if you're ever looking to identify the Virginia creeper, it has the 5 leaves. Sometimes when it's small, it has 3, but normally there'll just be some 3-leaved ones and the rest are 5. So I do have quite a bit of Boston ivy, which is not native. And when it's small and just coming up, it kind of looks like Virginia creeper, but I've noticed that it always has 3 leaves. So if you're looking for the difference between Virginia creeper and Boston creeper, Boston ivy, the Boston ivy will have 3, Virginia creeper will almost always have 5, even if some of them have 3. If I come across any of the Boston ivy, it is on the fence, but that is when it's more mature leaved, and it's a single leaf with 3 points, but here's some. In here, that is Boston ivy, three-leaved before it becomes like this. So anyways, that's just a little note. If you happen to have Virginia creeper and Boston ivy in your yard, it can be really hard to tell. It keeps popping up everywhere, both kinds. And if you were wondering for identification about that. So over here I have I believe it's a black cherry. It's some kind of cherry. Aronia melancarpa. I'll have to check what the non-Latin name is for that, because black cherry is a very tall tree, native tree, and this is not as tall. This is more of a small tree slash shrub, so I got to check what kind that is, but it's going to be really nice in this area. If you remember from my first video, I removed a lilac, common lilac that was here and which is now on the invasive list, and a Japanese quince from this area. It still has a periwinkle invasive problem and a English ivy invasive problem, along with creeping bellflower, which I've been pretty much on top of. But then this shrub will really take over this area, and I'm very pleased to have it. And just jumping in here to say it's a black chokeberry. Crates of dahlias. I have some new plants here that I got from a neighborhood native plant sale, which I was really happy about. Evening primrose, Joe Pye, little blue stem, and gray-headed coneflower. So those will be going in at my other property that I grow on in Caledonia. These are just dahlias. There's a little bayberry that will fill in this area. This used to be a tree peony area. I took that out, and this is a little bayberry in this area. And that is a native shrub to grow here instead of the tree peony. This is the little bird cherry that is growing nicely. I just tucked little native plants everywhere in here. So this guy here is Culver's root. I'm very excited about that. That's going to be tall, spire-like flowers. I have a lot of this non-native Baptisia, Japanese spirea in there. None of that's native, but all around that you see the goldenrod that will bloom later in the summer. So let's head this way and check on things over here. So this is creeping sticky Charlie, sorry, and it's really annoying weed. But other than that, this is native black raspberry that is spreading in here, and I just have to kind of squeeze through the goldenrod. My path has disappeared. Squeeze through. So over here, this is the other viburnum. That might be the high bush cranberry. It's very small right now. It's like the size of the violets, but it's actually a shrub the size taller than the peonies, so that'll come along later. Come through here. This area doesn't look like much, but I've been popping in a lot of the kind of forest floor type native plants in this area. For one thing, I have my favorite that I talk about a lot, cucumber vine, wild cucumber vine, and it is finally starting to go over here onto the invasive periwinkle, which I will keep pulling out, and the ivy. And then this vine is quite an aggressive, like not in a bad way. It doesn't have deep roots, it doesn't kill things, but it grows quickly. So it should grow, and if I pull out the ones I don't want, because there's a few of the cucumber vines coming up here, and I want them to grow up the fence and really form a nice viney area over there. So I love those cucumber vines. I have another meadow rue in here. And then here's another cucumber vine. They're so cute. I mean, they have these little curly tendrils, and I just love them. So little things that you can't tell from the weeds. That's a anemone virginiana. So all of that will be really nice to see later. For now, great blue lobelia. This is Virginia waterleaf, which is very tall. I'll be able to show you some in bloom actually over in the other area. Very short, but in bloom, so you can see what the flower looks like. This is spiderwort, which I did not plant. It just showed up here many years back and comes back each year, and it has gotten quite large. I don't use it as a cut flower though, so it's not really part of the tour, but it is a native plant. And actually, it's so big now, it's crowding out this new meadow sweet that I planted. That's kind of like a spirea type flower, but native. So this will become a larger shrub, so I'll probably have to do something about the spiderwort. I did plant a bunch of those anemones and lupins, native lupins in this area, but nothing to see yet. There's that snowberry that has spread to over here and might form a thicket over here. Oh, and speaking of Virginia creeper, I have another area of it here. You can see the 5 leaves there. So that's the ground cover, and it's actually growing up a pole over in my patio. Some tick seed native that volunteered itself here, and it really forms colonies. Like, that's it all in there. It doesn't have the most showy flower, but it is still cute. I will still cut from it and use it in designs. This is yellow pimpernel. Nothing much to see yet. This is Herb Robert, a wild geranium called Herb Robert, but I tried cutting it and it really smells bad, so it is not going to be a cut flower, but I'll still let it grow here. It's still pretty, and it should spread a little bit. Then we have, this is the other wild geranium, and it should spread in this area, which is kind of a mess right now, but it would be really nice if this was a geranium area. I would love that. Over here, if you saw my YouTube short video, I cleared invasive lily of the valley, and underneath was this Rudbeckia hirta and tick seed, both native. So I was very happy to find that those were underneath the invasive that I cleared. That's always a really great thing to happen. And then I've just been dotting native lupins all throughout the garden wherever I can, because I have a lot of those little seedlings. So I believe that's everything in this area. Nice robin making a lot of noise over there. Fleabane, goldenrod. Let's head back, see if there's anything else. Oh yes, the back area that I didn't show last time, I thought I could show now because I have planted there and gotten a little bit of control of it, and it is an interesting area, so let's go check it out. So on this trellis, this is non-native blackberry, but I planted a native Virgensbauer clematis. It was a seedling that my other vine that I have planted in Dundas gave off, so I just grabbed it and planted it there. It's very easy to transplant like that from its babies. Over here, I have been clearing out, this is all goldenrod, so that's not bad. And then I have been clearing out some of the nonsense in here. I have a shrub, native shrub here. Let me see if I can read it. Oh, this is elderberry. I have little blue-eyed grass, not much to see yet. Blue vervain, obedient plant. There used to be a peony here. This is my non-native hop vine. There is a native hop plant, but this is just something that comes back every year, and I do like for cutting actually. But so in here I've been dotting things in to try to fill out that area. Oh, I can feel the rain starting, so this was good timing for this video. So I have some milkweed back here, lots of fleabane always, and lots of goldenrod. So this is kind of like a field of goldenrod, which I'm fine with because for the most part I try to have a lot of variety, but it's kind of nice to also have an area of all one thing with some milkweed, common milkweed, and the goldenrod. So back here, again, a bit of a mess looking area, but there is Virginia mountain mint. I have my ranunculus budding, which is cool, non-native, but you know, classic cut flower. Yeah, so Virginia mountain mint, another prairie loosestrife is just little down there. American blackcurrant, and just a fun fact, it's not fun, kind of negative fact about blackcurrant, any currant, and gooseberry. If you do plant them, they're kind of not recommended to plant, even though it's native, because they are a host for a really harmful parasite or something that is killing our white pine, which is a really important tree in Ontario, and they host the problem. Sorry, I should have clarified exactly what it is, so when I'm doing this video I can say it really smoothly and know what I'm talking about. But the overall thing is, I think it's white pine rust You can look it up if you have never heard of it, but if you were thinking of planting any kind of currant, even if it's native, it actually hosts an invasive problem for white pine trees. So if you notice anything happening on it, like brown rusty spots on your currants, then you would want to pull it, unfortunately. So they don't really recommend that you plant those because it can host that, and then that is decimating the white pine population. So that's just something to be aware of with native currants and gooseberries, and of course non-native ones as well. But it's just interesting because a lot of the time native plants don't have some of the issues that non-native ones do, but in this case they very much do. So we have some common milkweed actually budding up, which is really great. Goldenrod planted around my budding ranunculus. I keep including that in the video even though it's not native because it's just a cut flower that's about to bloom, and it's cool. Common juniper will become a lowish kind of rugged shrub in here. I have a rose that is the native rose planted behind that goldenrod. I'm not going to walk back there now to show you that though. Over here, see, this is that whole back area I was telling you is kind of overgrown, but still cute. This is a non-native grass that showed up here. So let's see, is there anything here? I can't remember what this native plant is, so I'll just show you that again later once it's blooming and I know what it is, but I do have some wild strawberry that I'm hoping will be a ground cover in here. And then other than that, messy area that I'm trying to clear non-natives from and let natives take over. Here's some wild cucumber vine again, but I think I've shown you enough of that. So that's it for back here actually, until later when I have more to show. But it's kind of a fun area. There's a brush pile, and yeah, I have like a pink lilac tree and a few other non-natives back here and a crabapple. We can just go out here because why not? So I have an alley behind the house, behind the garden, and I actually cleared out, it's very weedy normally, like weed trees and just a whole bunch of problems. So I cleared that out and put in 100% native plants out here. So I figured it could be, because it's an alley people use to walk down a lot. So I thought it might be really nice to have pollinator garden out here. So I put in, yeah, it's all native plants. I got it certified as a pollinator garden. I've been having a few issues with I won't get into it, a certain neighbor who, even though this is fully on our property and actually in from our property line, they purposely have been driving through it to the point where they wrecked the little fencing that we put up, like completely bent it. This was smushed down. Oh, they broke the light, like they drove over it. So some of the plants are really struggling because they were crushed. So this garden's kind of farther behind than I'd like it to be. And we only put the fencing up just so people knew this was a garden now, because it used to just be so overgrown with weeds, and because native plants, when they're young, you can't always tell they're not weeds, right? Like it's just green, kind of like a messy wild green garden right now. So I wanted to get it certified so I could put the sign up, and we just put the little fences so that people would know, but they're well set back, as you can see, well set back from where people drive and well on our property line, but they got run over and the plants got run over. So that was a bit of a frustration in what is normally a pleasant experience of gardening, but that's okay. I still wanted to show you because so Virginia creeper will grow up on the fence and will hopefully take over some of this horrible bindweed that I'm just trying to stay on top of. Some Echinacea pallida, which is the native Echinacea, tiny switchgrass I put in here, Rudbeckia, goldenrod, the woolly violets, common milkweed, Penstemon digitalis, anise hyssop got crushed when this got driven over. Cucumber vine also, hoping will grow up. Here's more cucumber vine, hoping will grow up on the fence. The stinging nettle is not native, and I keep pulling it out, but once the native plants get bigger, it's common milkweed. I'm hoping that it'll really help keep the non-natives down. oxeye sunflowers and a little native guy, but this got really crushed by the car driving over it. So I started that one from seed, so it was small to begin with, and I think it'll bounce back though. You know, plants, pretty hardy. I think that's everything in here that's native. That's more anise hyssop. But yeah, so, oh, this is an aster that I bought as a plug, so like a very small plant, but it will become a big bushy aster. Nice light purple one. So anyways, I just wanted to briefly show you that, and it'll be another one that'll be fun to see the update video on, I think. That's my alley garden. Okay, I believe that is everything. I did have a few tiny other plants planted back in the first area. Actually, yeah, I can show you those. They're still just small, but I'll just, you know, show you the progress. So some more meadow rue. I put in a lot of that because I really like that as a cut flower. And then we've got turtlehead and, oh, what's this called? I don't have a tag for this guy. The name is escaping me. I have tags for most of these things. They came from a native plant nursery. Here we go. Scrofularia. I don't remember what that is. That's okay. You can look up the Latin name. Spikenard. I knew it would come to me. It's one of those ones that it's not a real brain block. I often remember it's spikenard. So that'll be a nice low native plant. Meadowsweet. It's the second one I have. I showed you in the other area. Ostrich fern. Oh yeah, and I was going to show you, this is the Virginia waterleaf in flower. So really pretty light violet. This is its leaves. So it's like that very tall one I showed you in the other area, but this is the short one. And I actually have a few short ones that chose to bloom. It's another one. So very pretty. Cucumber vine with the curly tendril. This is one of those little spring ephemerals. I think it's the squirrel corn, but that'll hopefully bloom next year. It's just a leaf right now. I have a witch hazel tree that I've put in here next to the beautiful iris. So that'll get a bit taller and be a short tree-ish shrub in that area. Tree-ish shrub, you know, I'm very scientific when I do these tours. I have a false Solomon seal over here that will bloom next year, I hope. Just greenery for now. Another one, little guy here. And more Virginia waterleaf. I think it's spreading. I don't remember putting it in here. And then I dotted in here with native anemone and lupins. And then same with over underneath the witch hazel. Can't see it though, but just to tell you. So yeah, there are a few other things that I didn't show, but I'll show next time in the next update video. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for coming on these tours with me. It's really fun for me to be putting in these plants. I watch them every day. I come out and I basically do this tour for myself multiple times a day. So I really appreciate that you join me on these tours, because that makes me feel like I'm not just talking to myself and I am telling other people who do care. So thank you very much for being here. See you next time.